I want to talk to you about, yes, of course. I want to talk to you about a recent article that came across my desk. It is from EcoWatch. And according to EcoWatch, this is an exact quote from this article. Many of the staples we rely on today will be even more expensive and less accessible by 2050 than they already are. So what will be on our plates in the next few decades? EcoWatch is predicting things like algae, seaweed, more beans and legumes, wild grains, more lab grown meats, insects even. So I want to know what your thoughts are on this. Anything that you'd like to share in terms of how you view the food systems in the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades?
Sure. So, insects as an example is an interesting one where, yes, they are very efficient, animals, livestock to grow because they can grow on waste. I think from a marketing perspective, that's going to be a challenge. I think that even though on paper you could understand why it might make sense to eat more crickets, for example, I don't think there's a lot of demand yet in the consumer's mind for that. I think there will be more plant-based foods. I think as we continue to understand the environmental impact of livestock and the extent to which our agricultural system is so imbalanced. And I'll give you the one statistic that I think is so powerful. When you look at the biomass, the weight of all the mammals on the planet, that means everything from cows and pigs to squirrels and elephants and even whales, because those are all mammals, not including humans. The biomass of livestock is 94% of all of mammals' biomass. So just so out of balance. And I think what that does is it throws off our allocation of water and energy, both precious resources, which are, with limits to them. So I do think we're going to continue to see a shift away from animal-based agriculture, both in dairy. We've seen it in dairy already. Dairy now, 16% of the dairy category is plant-based. That's the highest index of any of the categories, but I think others will start to follow. Plant-based meat is just 1% of the overall meat category. I think that will continue to grow. So I think those are going to be some important shifts that'll happen in our food system.
Thank you for your insights. And yeah, it is eye-opening what's happened in dairy. And anyone listening to this show who's gone to the grocery store, you've seen it with your own eyes as that dairy section at your local grocer has expanded. And the expansions are almost always plant-based alternatives to your traditional fluid milk and dairy products. So yes, great insights, Seth. Thank you so much for sharing those. And this is the worst part of the show because it's the end. But it has been a true pleasure to host Seth Goldman on the Produce Moms podcast. Seth, it's you are a gentleman of inspiration and someone who really changed my life when I heard you speak back there in 2016 in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. I saw my work with a grander purpose after listening to you that
That's
day.
so nice to hear, Lori. I'm really gratified.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. So we have a tradition, you actually are going to have the opportunity to sign us off from the show today.
Well, thank you, Lori, and thank you for your kind words and for your time today and for drawing so much attention, needed attention to the fact that we aren't eating the right kind of produce, as much produce in our diets as we need to. And as challenging as you could look at the world today and say, oh, so many things feel wrong or off balance, you could also look at it and say, this is a great moment of opportunity, of an inflection where we have the chance to really change how people eat and how they think about what they eat. And so, the one thing I would underline is every time you choose to eat, which usually is 3 times a day, sometimes more, you have the chance to make a choice. And so when we chose the name Eat the Change, it was really deliberate. We wanted it to be a call to action, a call to empowerment, but also a call to accountability, because whether you think about it or not, whatever you choose to eat does have an impact.